How to prep if the grid goes down? Well, that is a doozy of a question, and a lot of people are concerned about that, and quite frankly, rightfully so. Our infrastructure is not good at all. Our power grid, well, is overtaxed. We are relying on a power grid that is too old. It is not sufficient. It's overtaxed, honestly. Now, think about the things that you can do in case the grid goes down. It can happen due to a natural disaster. It can happen a fire. It can happen because of a snowstorm. We get those in here a lot. A lot of things, a cyber attack. A lot of things can happen and the grid goes down and now you don't know what to do. Well, you have two scenarios. And let's focus on the short-term scenario because the long-term scenario is quite frankly daunting to embark on. It will take quite a bit and a significant amount of money if you want to have a resemblance of what you have going on right now. Now, what you have currently in our system is you flip the switch, you have lights on, you open the spigot, you have water running, you flush the toilet, you don't see that fecal matter ever again. Well, if the grid goes down, you're gonna have to improvise on a lot of things. You're not gonna have your switches anymore to turn on the lights. You're not gonna have your water spigots. The water's gonna run hot, cold, whatever you want, and you're definitely gonna have to take care of your waste. Let's first of all talk about water. If you don't have water coming in, the easiest way for you to have water is to store some water away. Easiest way. In this channel, we have told you all, we use the 7-gallon containers that Walmart sells. They're not that expensive. Put a few of those away. They are meant for water. Put them away. We have constantly in our home, and I count them before I came over to the prepper shed. We have 9 full with water all the time. All the time. They are in our Arctic entry. During wintertime, we bring them inside the house. So that is 9 that we have with 7 gallons each. Now, that's just for drinking water. We have a cistern on the ground with 1,000 gallons. But you may not be able to have that. Let's say that you have a well. I think you're golden. The one thing that I would recommend everybody that, depends on wells, depends on rainwater catchment systems, depends on any water source. Make sure that you have good filters. Just make sure that you have good filters. You don't know, and better to be safe than sorry. Also boil the water. That's golden. That is one thing that we often did in Cuba for drinking water. For bathing water and everything else, we didn't care. But for drinking water, most of the water that we drank in Cuba, even if we got it from the stream, we boil it. Well, why? Because we got a lot of stomach issues if you didn't. There are things in there that can make you really sick. That's water. Let's think about food now. Well, food, if you are in the prepared mindset, you probably store away a lot of rice, beans, and oil and salt and stuff like that we have recommended. Well, those are things that you need to cook. If you have freeze-dried food, all you have to do is add water. If you had canned food, honestly, you can pop the lid and you're ready to eat. That's the good thing about canned food. Dehydrated, similar things, and so on and so forth. But if you have to cook, you have to consider a way of cooking. Now, a way of cooking that food can be as simple as a little stove like this. And this is a very old stove that I have. I got this one for $3.99 back in the day. I think it's a little bit more expensive nowadays. From Amazon. And you're going to need some fuel. Now, I have here an example so you guys can see. You don't have to go with this. This is a little bit more expensive. In fact, I use this for my jet boil. If you want to go with the cheap route, this is it. Jet boil. You get what you pay for. Honestly, it boils water. like that. So if you don't want to go with that, of course you can, you can have a Coleman stove. Use that. They use different propane containers, but I think you will be okay. Of course, there are guys. The sky is a limit. Just have something to cook with. Now remember, as I mentioned early on, this is a short term. You're expecting the lights to come back on. Just remember that. Now, if you don't have power, you most not likely gonna have reception. So you're gonna be in the dark, essentially, no communication with anybody. So I strongly recommend y'all to start getting radios. Now, here's an example of a very common use radio in the prepper community. This is a ball fan. Now, what you see here is something a little different, and essentially I did this because I don't want to be using those other batteries. They do come with their own batteries, but this one in here, this one, I'm going to open it so you guys can see it. This one uses AA batteries. So I can store some AA batteries, and bam, use this. Rechargeable batteries, even better. You can get those solar battery chargers and I have one somewhere. I can't remember where I put it at. And you can recharge your batteries. But, in case of an emergency, you can have a whole bunch of AA. Look, now you have extra batteries if the one that you're using runs out. Easy peasy. You have now communication. I'm trying to give you examples so you guys can develop a plan in case the grip goes down. The other thing is you need to, well, let's face it, the days of having a torch and walking through caves, that was our home, they're not here. We have a home. And I really don't like recommending candles because open flames are a recipe for disaster. You tripped, your carpet, your dreads, whatever catches on fire and you lose everything. So I will always recommend a cool lighting, if you will. Essentially something like a lantern. This to me is a very good thing to have. This is a torch from Gold Zero. I don't think they make this anymore, honestly, and it's shameful. This is a torch, $250, but if you do come across them, grab them. They are extremely good. Now, this one you can charge it by the sun, and you have a crank that you can charge as well. The good thing about this, it does have a port that you can charge your device. So potentially charge your phone. You see? Things to have. Another thing that I want to recommend everybody is if the power goes out during winter, have a heat source. Have a heat source. I talked to you all in my last video about what we use the most in our bodies. Clothing is your first line of defense. If you want to add up to that, it's simple hand warmer. As long as you keep enough fuel, you will be okay. We talked about toe warmers. As long as you have enough, you will be okay. Just remember, if you don't have a wood stove or a permanent gas heater or a furnace that you can use, you got to get creative, honestly. So I think my recommendation will be try to get a Mr. heater. These things are really good, y'all. Really good. And of course, get the refillable tanks. I show you all how to do it. They're not difficult at all. Get enough. If you want to get the hose for the Mr. heater, they do have it as well, that you can connect a 20-pound tank. That is more cost efficient. And one thing that I will always recommend is make sure that you install a fan on the Mr. heater. I'm telling you, you have no idea how much of a difference this really has made. Now, we also have to consider home security. When the power is out, well, those who want to do harm, they're going to be out and about. And they're going to be looking at what can they do, because they want to get what is yours. So you have to make sure to have a plan. And you have to make sure you have home security. If the power goes out, your alarm most likely will go down. If the power is out, you most likely will not be able to use those cameras. So perhaps you have a dog that it can alert you, but if not, make sure you have self-defense tools and you are proficient with it. There's nothing wrong with you protecting yourself. Nothing wrong at all. So don't let nobody tell you that that is wrong. That is your right, a constitutional right protected under the Second Amendment. The last thing that I want to talk about is sanitation. I mentioned to y'all that, well, since you can't flush the toilet, you're going to have to take care of your waste. I recommended before in this channel to get potty bags. They are available pretty much everywhere. You put it in a bucket, you do your business in there, everything is self-contained. Get enough to last you for a while. You don't know what can happen. And if you have an outhouse, you're golden. If you have other ways to dispose it, you're golden. But I'm trying to give you ideas. And I'm going to give you a bonus for you to consider. When the power goes out, it triggers in your psyche that something bad is happening. Try to keep yourself calm. For those of us who are accustomed to blackouts, and trust me, in Cuba, that is a very normal thing to do. In fact, we expected it. The power will go out 8-12 hours a day, easy, and we were all like, whatever, it is what it is. We always prayed that never went out during the nighttime so we can have the fans on and and enjoy, or at least try to sleep. But yeah, that's another thing that I forgot to mention. There's just a lot of things to consider. Try to get a battery operated fan. That way, in hot weather, you can just move air. Moving air or having a passive air. And passive air is nothing more than, just having the front door open or with the screen on and the back door open or with the screen on so air can circulate. Air circulation is key when it comes to hot weather. So those are my advice to you, to deal with a grip down scenario for a short term. Long term, well, that's a longer conversation. So hopefully this video helps you and gives you idea. Like always, rock on, prep on, and I will see you in the next one. Bye-bye, everybody.